Have you ever looked at something and thought, the more I stare at it, the less it makes sense? Because that's exactly what happens when people encounter this painting. At first glance, it looks like a beautiful medieval landscape, but then you notice giant birds swallowing people, naked humans crawling out of giant fruits, fish walking on land, strange hybrid creatures that seem to belong in a nightmare, and an entire kingdom of torture hidden in the darkness. This painting is over 500 years old, yet even today, historians still argue about what many parts of it actually mean. Some believe it is a warning about sin, others think it is a vision of paradise, and some have even suggested that its creator was centuries ahead of his time. This is the Garden of Earthly Delights, and it may be the strangest painting ever created. The year is around 1500. Europe is deeply religious. The Catholic Church dominates everyday life. Most paintings created during this period follow familiar themes, scenes from the Bible, saints, angels, the life of Christ. Artists were expected to teach moral lessons through their work. Then came a painter named Hieronymus Bosch, and Bosch was different. While other artists painted heaven and earth as orderly places governed by divine rules, Bosch filled his paintings with monsters, bizarre machines, impossible animals, and scenes so strange they still confuse viewers 5 centuries later. His most famous creation is the painting you're looking at now, the Garden of Earthly Delights, a gigantic triptych made up of 3 separate panels. To understand it, we need to explore it one section at a time, because each panel represents a different stage in humanity's story, and each one becomes progressively stranger. Let's begin on the left side. At first glance, this appears to be the easiest panel to understand. This is the Garden of Eden, the biblical paradise where humanity began. Near the bottom, we see Adam sitting on the ground. Beside him stands Eve, and between them is Christ. Bosch is depicting the moment Eve is presented to Adam. Everything seems peaceful. Animals wander freely. The landscape is green and beautiful. Life appears perfect. But look closer. Even here, something feels off. You can already find unusual creatures scattered throughout the landscape. Exotic animals appear alongside mythical ones. Predators roam freely. Strange formations rise from the ground. Nothing feels entirely natural. Bosch seems to be suggesting that even paradise contains hints of future disorder. The seeds of chaos are already present. And in the center stands a strange pink structure that resembles neither a mountain nor a building. Its purpose remains uncertain. Some historians believe it symbolizes creation itself. Others think it represents the fragility of paradise. Whatever its meaning, it immediately signals that we have entered Bosch's world, a place where symbols are rarely straightforward. Now we arrive at the heart of the painting, and this is where things become truly bizarre. Hundreds of naked figures fill the landscape. They eat giant fruits, ride strange animals, swim in pools, dance, play, chase one another. Everywhere you look, something unusual is happening. This is the section that gave the painting its name, but what exactly are we seeing? The traditional interpretation is that Bosch is showing humanity surrendering to earthly pleasures. Notice how many people are focused entirely on immediate enjoyment. There is no work, no prayer, no responsibility, only desire. The enormous fruits appear again and again throughout the scene: strawberries, berries, cherries. In medieval symbolism, fruit often represented temptation and pleasure, but fruit also spoils quickly. Its sweetness never lasts. Bosch may be reminding viewers that worldly pleasures are temporary. The giant birds, oversized animals, and surreal structures add to the dreamlike atmosphere. Everything feels seductive, beautiful, almost magical, and yet strangely unsettling. It's as if humanity has forgotten everything except entertainment and desire. One detail that fascinates many viewers is how nobody seems concerned. No one appears worried. No one is preparing for the future. Everyone is completely absorbed in the present moment. The scene feels joyful, but also fragile, as though something terrible is approaching. And Bosch wants us to sense it before we see it. because the next panel reveals exactly where this path leads. The transition is shocking. The bright colors disappear. The cheerful landscape vanishes. Day turns into night. Fire consumes the horizon. Buildings collapse. Chaos erupts everywhere. This is Bosch's vision of hell, and it is unlike anything painted before. People are tortured by the very things they once enjoyed. Musical instruments become instruments of punishment. Gamblers suffer. The proud are humiliated. The greedy are tormented. Everywhere we look, human desires have transformed into sources of suffering. One of the most famous figures appears near the center, a bizarre creature known today as the Tree Man. Its cracked body resembles a hollow shell. Its legs look like tree trunks. Inside its body, tiny figures gather as though trapped in a grotesque tavern. No one knows exactly what Bosch intended this figure to represent. Some scholars believe it may even contain a self-portrait of the artist himself. The Tree Man remains one of the greatest mysteries in art history. Nearby, we encounter another famous image, a giant bird-headed monster devouring humans and excreting them into a pit below. The scene is horrifying, but Bosch fills it with so many details that viewers often find themselves staring in fascination rather than looking away. Hell here is not just a place of punishment. It is a place where human behavior returns to haunt humanity itself. Every vice has consequences. Every excess has a cost. The most fascinating part of this painting may be the fact that nobody knows exactly what Bosch intended. Unlike many artists, Bosch left behind almost no written explanations. He never created a guide explaining his symbols. He never told us precisely what each creature represents. As a result, scholars have debated this painting for centuries. Some believe it is a straightforward religious warning. Others think it contains references to medieval folklore. Some have argued it reflects secret spiritual ideas, and others believe parts of it were meant simply to astonish viewers. What makes the painting so powerful is that it refuses to give clear answers. Every generation sees something different. Every viewer discovers details that others miss. Even after hundreds of years, researchers continue finding new interpretations. Few artworks can claim that. Today, the Garden of Earthly Delights hangs in the famous Museo del Prado. Millions of people have seen reproductions of it. Countless books have been written about it, and yet it remains deeply mysterious. Perhaps that is why it continues to captivate us. The painting feels surprisingly modern. It shows a world obsessed with pleasure, a world overflowing with distractions, a world where people pursue what feels good in the moment without considering what comes next. Whether Bosch intended that message or not, it still resonates today. 5 centuries later, viewers continue to stare at this extraordinary work asking the same question: what exactly was Bosch trying to tell us? And maybe the reason we keep returning to this painting is because it never fully answers. The Garden of Earthly Delights remains one of history's greatest puzzles, a masterpiece so strange, so imaginative, and so endlessly fascinating that even after 500 years we are still trying to understand it. If you enjoyed exploring one of the strangest artworks ever created, make sure to subscribe to the Synapse for more fascinating stories from history, science, art, and the mysteries of our world. And tell us in the comments, what is the strangest detail you spotted in this painting?